Another day, another Yoshi tutorial. Today, we are going over the Directional Nutmeg, a newly added skill this year to EAFC, or I should say new animation for it. Makes it super effective. I am going to show you all the variations of the move, where to use it, what makes it so good. So, to start off, creating space. Quick change of direction throws your opponent completely off, and you find that space creation super helpful in the attack. Second thing, opens up passing angles. As you can see here, you can pass before the animation is even complete, which allows you to create angles. Very, very helpful in the attack. And again, creating space. I can then combine it with other skill moves if I would like, but the big thing being, in some situations, it just gives you time to think. As you can see here, I'm going to put a live controller on the screen, slow the gameplay down, and I'm going to talk you guys through things. Hopefully this helps. Pause the video as needed. And without further ado, let's get into it. Quick disclaimer. If your player does not have at least 4-star skills, then they will get this animation. We do not want this animation. You can even get the old bridge or directional. Again, we do not want this. To perform this, you're going to hold L1 and R1 if you're on PlayStation, LB, RB if you're on Xbox. Look at the controller. You can see the bumpers that are highlighted so you can get a better reference. Then you flick your right stick while the bumpers are held down in whatever direction you want to exit. The question being, where do we want to exit? Well, I'm going to show you each of the variations. For the first one, if I'm running to the right, to get that quick animation, we want to flick 90 degrees. Now you may ask, 90 degrees which way? You want to flick it to your opposite foot. So in this case, if I'm running right, I want to flick it to my left foot. So my left foot would mean I need to flick my right stick up on the screen. If I flick it down and keep it on my same foot, you'll get a different animation. Going to show you both of these today. But again, 90 degrees. If that confuses you, degrees and all that stuff, just think like this. You want to flick the ball to your opposite foot. So if I'm running to the right, I need to flick it to my opposite foot. If I'm on my right foot, you can see I'm pushing my right stick up so it goes to my left foot. Hopefully that doesn't confuse you too much. I'm going to show you what it looks like on both feet and how to do it. Again, I'm running to the right. Pay attention to the controller. Pause when needed. I'm going to flick the ball up the screen so that it switches to my left foot. Here, I'm going to show you two examples. One on the right foot. So I flick it towards my left foot. So in this case, up. Now it's going to be on his left foot. And you're going to see when it's on his left foot, I'm going to flick the ball to the right with my right stick. Get that quick animation. I'm going to show you this clip again. Pay attention to the controller and the player. Flick my right stick so it goes to the opposite foot. With practice, this will become easier. You'll get it down really quickly, I promise. It's a very simple skill. Flick the right stick to the right because the ball is on my left, and you get this animation. One more time for good measure. Pay attention to the controller. Get an idea. Hopefully with me talking over it, it makes a little bit of sense. When you go in game, go to the practice arena. You can try it there. You'll get it down really quickly, I promise. I'm going to show you here in a second what it looks like if you do the wrong way. The wrong way is not a bad thing, but it's not what we want. We will show you that in a second. So if I'm running to the right, I'm going to flick it 90 degrees up the screen because that's to my left foot. Again, if degrees doesn't make sense, just think. It's on my right foot. I need to flick the right stick so that the ball goes to my left foot based on the direction you're running. It'll change if I'm going left on the screen, right on the screen, up on the screen, down on the screen. As you can see here, when I'm running right, I flick it down rather than up, and I'm on my right foot already, you can see I get the same foot animation. So basically just think of perspective of your player and flicking the right stick based on where they are, which foot the ball's on. So here it's going to be on my right foot, and that makes sense because Canton is right-footed, which is usually the foot he'll be using. He flicks it to the right, it stayed on his right foot, and you can see you get that open up animation. It's not terrible. Here, I was on my left foot, even though it's the same player. So it's not always the same foot every time. Typically, a right footer will favor their right foot, but not always. But you can see what it looks like when you go the same side. We want the quick animation that I showed at the beginning in the first variation. This will allow us to pass out of, which we'll show you in a second here. But again, to help you remember, right stick needs to be flicked to the opposite foot. Just think of it that way. When you get in game, go to the practice arena and just flick it a few times and you'll kind of get down which way works. Now pay attention here. Look at the controller. When I flick the right stick the exact same direction as my left stick, you'll get this little ball animation where he rolls the ball straight in front of him. That's kind of useless. It's just for show. You can see again, I'm going to flick my right stick the exact same direction as my left foot. And he kind of just rolls the ball at the bottom of his foot. We don't really care to use that. Disclaimer again, remember, you need at least 4-star skills or you'll get this animation. We do not want this. Now, you can flick it the opposite direction and your guy will jump on the ball and do a 180-degree spin. So as you can see, if I'm running to the left, flick the ball with my right stick right. Again, if I'm running to the right, I'm going to flick my right stick to the left, complete opposite direction, 180 degrees, complete opposite direction. We'll jump on the ball. Typically, I don't use this. I think there's faster animations you can use it with other skills, but it's not bad. If you don't flick it completely the opposite direction, you're like slightly off, you do it like at a diagonal a little bit, you get this animation. This one kind of looks cool. I do it here and there. It's not terrible. It allows you to change at an angle. So rather than, going fully opposite direction, you go at a little bit of a diagonal. Pay attention to the controller. Hopefully me just yapping doesn't kind of confuse you. You'll get used to it, honestly. Just make sure both bumpers are being held when you flick the right stick. And in game, with a little bit of practice, you'll get used to it. But the big thing of today's video is passing out of it. As you're going to see, I'm going to flick my right stick, and before the animation is complete, we're going to push our pass button. So A on Xbox, X on PlayStation, pass the ball. Pay attention to the timing. You can see when I push the button on my controller in the top right. Make sure if you're having a problem where like your player does the skill and then is passing, it's not letting you, try to preload the pass so that it exits out of the animation. Typically it's right as they drag the ball back and then I'm looking to pass. I don't want him to get to that second part of the turn. We want it right on the pullback and then you're making the pass. You can see it'll lead to an easy goal. I open up space. The shooting here is not really the demonstration of today's video, but it's dragging the ball back and then making the pass on the drag back. That's typically where we like to use it. It opens up the angle for you. Very, very effective. Really nice. Hopefully this makes sense. Go back in the video, pause, maybe make it even slower if you need. Look at the controller and just try it in game. Now, where do I like to use this skill? The number one spot I like to use this, if I'm running down the line and I want to find an inside pass. So you can see I use it a lot in these clips where if I'm running down the line, sometimes I let the animation complete if I have a lot more space or if I don't think the passing angle is going to be open. And in some cases, you can see I use it as a passing option. You'll get used to it. Here you can see passing. We cancel the animation again. Sometimes you'll let the full animation play out depending on where the defender's standing. Other times not. But the main thing being, if you're running it down the line, it's a quick way to turn back before your opponent expects you. Really, really, really nice way of using it. Sometimes if you get in the box with your striker, you can then use it as a way of changing pace, changing direction quickly. If you go back to the beginning of the video, I can put the clips here again for you in a second. And some of those clips that I showed you guys, we used it to create space with the striker, giving me some time to think like I was mentioning earlier. Hopefully with all this talking, not confusing you like I said. The biggest thing I'd say to work on a skill like this, really not too hard of a skill out of all the skills you can learn in the game. Go into the practice arena. Just pick a player that has at least 4-star skills. Typically I pick a 5-star skiller, but at least 4-star skills. And just try to do the move. Just go to the left, go to the right, go up, go down. And you get a feel for it. You'll see, okay, when I'm running this direction, this is where I need to flick the right stick. With a little bit of practice, as they say, practice makes perfect. If you have any questions, if there's any other skills you want to learn, let me know. I can help you. In the next ones, I'll probably put an extra controller on the screen with some arrow designs. But for this skill move, since it's a little bit more simple, there was really no need for the extra arrows. Just pay attention to the live controller, in my opinion. Hopefully this makes sense, helps you to create some space, create some passing options. As you're going to see here, I'm going to show you with the striker and creating space, like I just said. But as you guys know, as always, stay wiggly.